Chapter 1. Where am I on my career path? Someone came up with the term climbing the corporate ladder many years ago. But please realise that for most of us, the term is not relevant. Now, why is that? Well, it's simply because 90% of people work for small to medium-sized businesses. And if there is a ladder, it's only a step ladder, because there's not that many positions in a small to medium-sized business that you can actually climb up. Also, think about this. Most people think the further up the ladder that you go, the less work you have to do, the more time you spend thinking strategically and directing the troops to do other things. But remember, with the rewards of climbing the corporate ladder comes the responsibility. And with that responsibility comes consequences. You have to be prepared to take on that responsibility and be prepared for the consequences that come up with that. So, go back to the original question. Where am I on my career path? Well, let's talk about this in general terms. Most people these days live what we call a 40-40 life. Now, in simple terms, that means they're going to work for about 40 hours a week, and they're going to do so for about 40 years. So what's the career path that people go through? Well, in your 20s, you'll be going through your learning process. This is where you decide what career you're going to follow, what discipline that might be, what industry you're going to work in. You might change jobs, trying new things out, or working in different fields, and that's great. It's all about your learning process. Then, when you get into your 30s, you've got to go into your growing process. So at this stage, you've decided what you're going to do, and you're going to get better and better at it. You're going to look for new experiences, look for new developments, and actually grow your career path with the knowledge and experience that you have. What then happens is that people may get into their 40s or maybe their 50s, and they move on into the leading part of their stage. This is where they take on a leadership role. Now, they'll do that for a number of years, and it's really important because they've got the skills which they've gained in their learning phase. They've then improved on those and got more experience, which they've gained through their growing phase, and now they're sharing it with others through their leadership phase. The fourth part is actually what we call the mentor phase. So once you've done your learning, your growing, and your leadership, then it's your responsibility to share that knowledge, that wisdom, those experiences with other people who are climbing up their corporate ladder or following their career path. So if they're the stages that you're going to go through, you've got to figure out what you want to do. Some people, the first step is to figure out where they want to be as far as their responsibilities and their function is concerned. So some people want to be in charge of other people. Some people want to have a completely autonomous role and not be responsible for other staff. Others want to make a contribution to the company or the community or to the business. And other people want to maximise the amount of income that they get out of the work that they do. Some people want to be part of a team. Some people want to operate autonomously. Some people want to be good at a range of skills and have a generalist approach. And other people want to be experts in their fields and be very, very specific in their knowledge. Now, you've got to remember as well that a career is like a Christmas tree. And the higher you go up that tree, the less branches there are to stand on. So the first thing you've got to decide on is what type of tree you're going to work in. And the tree depends on the industry and the company. You might work for a small company that's a flat Christmas tree. And that's okay, because as you rise and grow and lead within that company could get bigger. You might work in an industry where the industry is going through massive growth. And this is something you have to be very careful of. I tell a story about when I finished school in the 80s, I couldn't get a job in a video store. Why? Because they didn't exist. If I wanted to go on and get a job in the 90s, working selling DVDs, I couldn't. Why? We didn't have DVDs back then. Now everything's online. So there's an example of an industry that's growing. Ask yourself the question, are you going to forge a career path in an industry that will be dead in 10 years' time? If so, rethink. That may not be your Christmas tree. Finally, when applying for new jobs, seek out companies that have room for advancement or the industries that they're in have room for growth. You don't have to work for a huge corporation. As I said, you can work for a small business that's actually growing. But if you want to look at two basic things of where you are now on your career path and where you're going to go, look for a growth company, look for a growth industry, and map out what you want to do that's going to make you happy in your career.